Good morning, everyone. I'm trying something a little bit different. I don't have my green screen behind me, but we're just in the environment. Hi, I am BlueStar, and this is P.S.Etc, politics and spirit and more. So I wanted to share some thoughts that I'm having this morning on this very wonderful Sunday. And what I want to share is what I call an intergalactic truce and or an inner intergalactic truce. So shamanically speaking, we have the awareness that there are multiple realms and we are multidimensional. And so shamanism has helped us to understand how we can permeate, how we can go through these realms and make contact and have conversations. So we begin with, in the intergalactic understanding of our world, we recognize that this is an energetic field, okay? This is filled with molecules, protons, neutrons, you know, all the quantum physics that we've heard, all the science and understanding that all these elements and activities are waving, are moving, and even have sounds. And we're just a little speck, each one of us. We have a little God speck inside, or a unity consciousness. And that's why I have spoken to this before, that telepathically and intuitively, we have the wherewithal of everything in the entire universe, universes. And sometimes you've heard the understanding of the Akashic records, where there's actually a cosmic library that's basically recording, has all the knowledge, the love, wisdom, all the happenings of the eons and eons and eons of sentient life. So let's come back to the intergalactic truce. In my understandings of shamanic self, I've come to the place with just what I spoke to, that here we are, we have this beautiful form, this earth form, this soup, and it's filled with molecules, it's filled with atoms, protons, neutrons, okay? And in the center of this being is what we call, there's a spark, there's light, and that's the energetic field, and it touches all of the chakras, okay? And so we are actually electromagnetically charged continuously as a part of the Mother Earth, Sophia Gaia. However, if you hold the awareness that here's all these molecules, all right? When we're working on our self-realization, self-awareness, we want everything within this form and within our energetic field and consciousness, we want it to have alignment. And that because the evolutionary nature of life, right, it's consistent and it's continual, we want to continually invoke that I'm recalibrated at every given instance. And in every given instance, I am at peace with what is. So when I've looked out into the world and I have really wanted to find my balance, find my balance. Let me shut my phone off. Okay, so when we look out into the world and we're seeking, you know, we just want to be at peace with what is, regardless of the situation. It doesn't necessarily have to be positive and all sparkly, okay? It's just that we're at peace. We see the darkness, we see the things that aren't so great, and we see the things that are great, but we're at peace with all that is. Well, in my own spiritual studies, what I've recognized is that, and we've heard this universally, cross-culturally, that first we must make peace within. So this is how the origins of the Intergalactic Truce was initiated. This is how it started. I started to talk to the molecules that were within my being. And I started to let the molecules and let my physical being, my emotional being, my spiritual being, my mental being, I let it all know, hey, you all have to work together. So this is where it starts as the Inner Galactic Truce. And I'm recognizing that all these layers and all these realms are cosmic, right? There's an ethereal nature to these components, because behind all this matter and materialization, there's an energetic field. So I started to recognize that each of these realms is cosmic. And so galactic, the word galactic came with that understanding of, you know, we are our own universe. So I came up with these agreements. And I said, okay, all right, bodies, I want to have an intergalactic truce with you. And here's the rules that seem to suit me right now. So I start with no harm. Okay, so that means I'm telling all the atoms and molecules in my body, there could be no harm. You cannot harm each other. It's kind of like a whole bunch of children in here, and I'm saying, you got to play nice, all right? So no harm. Then there is no interference. So that means if there's a certain cosmic conglomeration of molecules, it's taking care of my liver, for instance, okay? Then I'm asking, hey, go over here to my stomach and I say, look, you've got your own conglomeration and unity consciousness that makes you function really well. You two cannot interfere with each other, okay? So the liver cannot disturb the stomach cannot disturb the liver, all right? So we're asking them to no interference. Then we're asking for friendly relations, all right? So friendly relations is basically all these molecules and conglomerations of functions, vitality, what have you. I'm asking them to be kind to each other, you know, have loving kindness for each other, all right? Play nice, all right? So we have friendly relations. Then there's good communication. So we know that all these different conglomerations and functions, they need to have good communication because we are functioning as a whole. There's a unity consciousness here. So I'm asking them to have good communication. Like liver, clearly state what your needs are, all right? And if you need to cooperate or coordinate, which you do with the stomach, then stomach, be a good listener, be receptive, and each of you have good communication. Understand one another's functions, okay? And communicate what is necessary. Then there is what I call a tone of equality. I love that. That's acknowledging that we have sound and waves and resonance. So a tone of equality. So I'm asking within this truth that everyone has and respects the integrity of their equality. All right. So the liver is no less important than the stomach. All right. The heart is no less important than the brain, and on and on and on. There's equality, equanimity. Okay. And then this is my favorite. Source, uninterference. uninterrupted. And tear is T-E-R-R-E, the earth. So source uninterrupted. So basically what we're doing is we're affirming that the origins of our divinity, the origins of our spiritual higher self is uninterrupted. It's a clear, clean flow that comes within with ease and effortlessness. Okay, so those are the ground rules for the truce. And we just I just spoke to the inner galactic, okay? Now, the intergalactic is, once we've established the understanding of the truce with all our multidimensional selves, then that's the affirmation. And of course, that's the reflection back into the material reality, back into the universe, back into all the galaxies, back into all the star nations, okay? So basically what we're saying is to all the other entities and sentient life, whether they be benevolent or malevolent, okay? We're basically saying the same thing. No interference, all right? Friendly relations, good communication, a tone of equality, source uninterrupted. And I think I've covered all of them. Whichever I said earlier applies now. So basically what we're doing is, because we've come to a time that we're starting to acknowledge, yes, there is life elsewhere, and there is a multitude of different life forms and nations right here on planet Earth. And there seems to be, you know, there's a fear about the unknown. And of course, you know, through media, we've built up this fear of like extraterrestrials and archons and blah, blah, blah. And they may very well exist, but energetically, what we're saying is we're putting out this truce. We're saying, okay, sentient life, regardless of what your intentions are, okay, we're going to put this out, at least in our own little sphere, an intergalactic truce. And so we're basically saying, you know, it's almost like live and let live. We're acknowledging that, okay, extraterrestrials may be on the planet, but, and according to universal divine law of free will, we can and we are heard communicate that no harm, no interference, I'm open to friendly relations, right? I'm willing to communicate, source uninterrupted, and I'm seeking a tone of equality. Because think about it, some of our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters, they actually communicate in tones and waves and vibrations, okay, telepathically. So we have to acknowledge that we may not know these other nations, but if we're genuinely interested in our communications, we can begin to ask questions like, well, how do you like to communicate? Do you understand love? Is there compassion in your nation? And on and on and on. And so in this day and age, it's very important that we understand that our thoughts and our words and our deeds need to be impeccable, because they do have an impact. That is how we're communicating in the world, all right? So if ever you're having an experience of something doesn't feel right, you have the power, the divine power to say, I do not consent. And that has to be heard, okay? That's just divine law. Just like all our chakras, that's divine law, okay? And so if you are entertaining really wanting to expand and widen your consciousness and become more aware to all these other life forms, you can take this intergalactic truce and present it no matter what. And this would occur like in those moments when you might just be sitting quietly, sipping some tea, and all of a sudden you have a sense, there's a presence, right? And we've learned over the past that if you feel the presence, you can ask, you know, are you friendly? Are you a guide? And shamanically, if they don't acknowledge in the affirmative, they are not your guide. So you go, I do not consent. But if you're feeling that presence, what you can do is, rather than get, you know, we tend to get fearful. It's like, ooh, I feel something strange. I don't know what it is. And for all you know, it could be one of your beautiful guides that's coming into your sphere. So if you use the truce, right, you are making a conscious and deliberate intention. You're basically saying, okay, I feel you, presence. Let's start here. If you're willing and agreeable to this truce, then I accept presence and communication. And it's as simple as that. So remember, this is an energetic field. We are alive and vibrating each and every moment. And so we have the power to affect every molecule. And so with that note, I wish you the best. And if you need any clarity on this intergalactic truce, feel free to put a comment in my YouTube channel, and I'll be happy to correspond with you. All right. I love all of you. Blessings. And I'll see you next time.